is Public Affairs Analyst Sesan Okuade. One welcome to you, Sesan, and thanks for joining us at Breakfast Central. Good to have you.
Good morning to our viewers across the globe.
Now let's start off with the Punch newspaper. The headline says, why INEC vote count can't be accurate. Former President Goodluck Jonathan said that. Ex-president decries ghost of voters, regional influences at 6 electoral reforms. And on the front page of the Punch newspapers, tax reform, Senate plans review as customs ASU false provisions. Afenifere backs Kalu, says Abiola president, declaring Abiola president should have happened a long time ago. It's longer overdue. And Southwest governors move against Wike's camp over PDP Congress crisis. It's still shocking to some that the FCT minister is still a card-carrying member of the People's Democratic Party. Obasa awaiting ruling before returning to State House of Assembly. I mean, he's been absent for quite some time now. I wonder what the standing House rules are for the number of days you can be absent for. And also on the front page of the Punch, Senate backs Akpabio as Natasha files 100.3 billion naira defamation suit. And APC dismisses anti-Ganduje plot as El-Rufai's absent from NEC meeting. Okay, that's the front page of the Punch newspaper. But I'd like to start, let's look at the major headline there. Why INEC votes can't count and be accurate, says former President Goodluck Jonathan. I thought beavers was the silver lining that would prevent all sorts of electoral fraud from happening. Why do you think President Jonathan made the statement? And is beavers not the silver lining?
Thank you very much, Benga. I'm sure Mr. President, our former president, is talking from a place of an informed person who has ruled us as a nation, and considering some of the antics that these politicians play, even when you have the right tool, you have the right mechanism of actually carrying out things that can make the electoral process seamless. Beavers, ordinarily, using that technology should be the game changer. But I'm sure you have some of the underlying factors that will not allow that to work. What is the state of our infrastructure, if you ask me? We've seen several instances where the high and mighty refuse to be captured by beavers and almost denying them, access to election in their locality, because possibly the beavers is not working, there is no network coverage. And that's why a lot of us will say it's good to have plans, to have all these policy in place. Do we have the infrastructure to back them up? It speaks of the gap. So when such thing happens, it's provided for in the Electoral Act to resort to manual voting. And in the process, you and I understand what can actually happen, which is one of the things Mr. Former President highlighted out, influences based on what people in that area, the politician in that area stand to gain, monetizing some of those things, snatching boxes and all the like. So when you can't have the beavers working because of the lack of infrastructure to enable that act, you resort to manual, and when you get to the manual, it's susceptible to some of these manipulations we're seeing. So I think first thing first, can we improve the architecture, the infrastructure of things that will enhance this quality delivery? We are not just doing that only for election process. It will enhance our economy, because a lot of rural areas where you should have some of these availability of this infrastructure in times of telcos are really not up They are not available. The telcos are complaining all the time of how they struggle to sustain their operational cost because they are so. What they do is that they look at the low area where they are not getting the funds and move to the other area where they feel that they can have enough patronage, which deprive those people in that area of those things. So I feel that it's just improving on infrastructure that we are seized to make this happen. You can have the right technology. If you don't have the right infrastructure to back it up, the gap will be there and it's susceptible to manipulation in the hands of the politician that actually have something to gain in the election process.
Yeah. There's another story here. The Obasa awaiting ruling before returning to assembly. We do know that he has taken the Speaker and the House of Assembly to court, saying he was illegally removed. What do you make of all of this? We thought it was a clear-cut case because the majority of the members of the State House of Assembly voted to remove him from office. And since he returned, it's been blowing very hot. We also saw the drama with the DSS coming into the hallowed chambers of the State House of Assembly last week. What does this tell us about the character of Obasa as a fighter? He seems not to have given up and is awaiting a Jerusalem-like triumphant re-entry into Alausa because he can't believe it. He's occupied a seat for almost 10 years, and then who are these people to remove me? Because that's what it seems like. Yeah, he can't come back as ordinary member.
Yeah, well, I'm not blaming Obasa. He's actually catching up on the lapses that we have in the system. If you look at the process that actually removed him, it's constitutional, it's legal, and everybody has actually looked at it. But it's good that you test the water, and this is where we call the judiciary arm of the government. You see, you know the slogan during the last election, go to court. So that's what Obasa is. A politician will always exhibit, even when you know outrightly you failed. And I love such thing to happen, so that when you go to court, we test what the judiciary can actually bring, because we call that at the hope of the last common man. So we see what they will bring to bear, whether this declaration by the judge will put clearer issue and Obasa will know the name. So that will start as precedent.
Yes.
Yeah, for other people. So it's good to test such things. And I appreciate the fact that he's saying, well, let me await the court injunction or the court declaration before I return back, because anything can happen. We've seen a lot of things coming up, and people will ask and say, is that the right thing to do? And you hear the judge coming up to tell you that on technical ground, which you and I may not be able to speak to, that it is not about emotion, it's about the law and what is presented before the judge. Even when the judge can see clearly that this is wrong, if there is nothing to substantiate it, he's going to act on what he has before him. And I think that's what he's actually relying on. And let's test the judiciary and to see what becomes of it.
All right, let's go to the Vanguard very quickly and see what the Vanguard has to say. On the front pages, the front page of Vanguard: insecurity, our lack of surveillance tech, AIDS, criminals and terrorists. Nigeria's $490 million failed CCTV project, fueling insecurity in FCT and others. Did you see that figure of $490 million?
Astronomical.
I'm sure, I think you were here, Sesan Okuade, when we discussed this, the installation of the new cameras. I remember this, and yet, anyway.
That's a huge amount.
Plot against Murtala Mohammed started from day one, according to IBB, but let's leave that. I'd like us to focus on this particular one, because Nigerians are excited. Not all Nigerians, please, let me state it there. A group or a set. US excludes UK, Nigeria and others from visa-free entry for 2025. So Nigerians are saying, after all, it's not just us.
Exactly.
The UK is also involved. The almighty
UK.
The almighty Kenny, like Bednock and the likes. Anyway, what's your take on that?
Yeah, well, in my dialect, they will say when you have failed, you look at your counterpart to go along with you.
He just goes back to secondary school. You know, the teacher gives you the results. You say, I got, no, 2 over 10. What did you get? I got 1.
That's the way it is. When you look at failure, you look around you. Who are the people? If they are picked a lesser country than Nigeria, Those ones too will be celebrating on their part to say, at least we are not in India alone. Nigeria, the almighty of Africa, is there. So Nigeria have every cause to say, it's not us alone, at least UK is there. So if but the issue there is we must look beyond now. I've always been an advocate to say this issue of we looking at what US and all other developed countries are saying about our citizens, we should look inward. What can we do? Why is everybody rushing to that particular country? What can we do to have you heard, if you see the Asian country moving to this country we're talking about, is to actually carry out maybe business that will develop their area. They export knowledge. You know, and they get some of those funds to develop their place. That's how China grew. But here, we go there and we stay there and we are not ready to
even when they go study, when the government sends them, it's a brain gain.
Yeah.
They come back and use their expertise.
But here, it's not. When even government sends you there, you just relocate finally, and you'll be speaking ills of the country that actually funded your growing into that country that is actually not there.
Like a certain Kemi in England.
Well, I don't want to mention names.
Anyway, let's take a look at that story very quickly. Let's talk about the so-called challenges that the customs have raised. Customs raises concern over tax reform bills. It's like we're circling back to the tax reform bills again. Everybody starts to review all over again. It's like we're starting all over again. Bottom line, what's your take on that? Do you think it's about time that these tax reform bills be passed and then let's just move on?
Yeah, you know, currently is going under review at the National Assembly, and we expect this to happen. A lot of people are putting their position in place to protect their territory in order, because as soon as it's passed into law, it becomes binding and you may not be able to. But let it be on record that we actually said this so that when it starts impacting, you know, maybe negatively, vis-a-vis what you proposed as a person, you should be able to say, we have this on record that were presented. So a lot of people, not only custom, a lot of people are actually either giving their backing, why it should be speed up for them to assent to that and allow it to be law. And some are saying you need to look in this area. So it's
a public hearing.
Public hearing kind of where everybody needs to give their input into whatever that is happening. But before I go, I think I want to pick up on the main headline of this Vanguard to speak to why this insecurity.
Our lack of surveillance tech aids criminals and terrorists.
We should use AI.
And you see, it is not even the technology that's my concern. Benga screamed when he heard the value therein. Are the people that carry out this thing, are they angels or monster or ghost?
They're alive.
The problem there is, I will link it with what happened during the book launch. This country, I don't know when things will change, because we are encouraging the younger generation not to go devalue a lot of the people perpetrating this thing learn. We've dropped that. So people that carry out these activities that are supposed to be the game changer, we are all saying use AI. Somebody will propose that to the government. We will fund it, and it will not see the light of the day. And the person will still use some of those funds to oppress people on the road. I asked somebody to, like, in a saner crime, we also are leaders. Let's admit that they don't even have a foreknowledge of what the books of IBB was all about, and they were all there. We've seen days after the launch of this book with so much billions, you know, invested in this.
16, 17 billion.
And the lives of people that got truncated. I saw one of our journalists, you know, lamenting of what the trauma the father, you know, during those military area, and somebody is coming out to say he regretted the act. I have not seen an iota of apology from what he said. He regretted as a person, but he reserved no apology. Do you know the number of people I trekked from on 3rd Mainland Bridge during June 12 down to mainland? And I know a lot of people that in the process, they wrecked Abiola family. And today, we are not saying anything on what should be done. These are facts. It's recorded.
No restitution.
And that's why we keep saying that, because there is no proper consequential management in the country, this will continue. So imagine a young boy of 10 years old, because they read dailies more than we do these days, possibly some of the things they do, and he's saying that somebody actually carried out a project of that magnitude.
$490 million.
Dollars, not naira. Carry out that kind of project in that magnitude. The project did not see the light of the day, and we are not coming out to say these are the people behind this that should be punished.
No,
what you are telling the guy is that, oh boy, as you are growing, you better find your bearing, the path to go. And I think this is
you write a book and they will still celebrate you at the end
by
of the
the
day.
time you carry out that, you go on, write a book, and because everybody is writing a book now. Whether the book actually, is of value to the people, we don't.
Are you writing yours anytime soon?
Definitely, people are writing that.
Okay,
they are doing it on the behalf. So all they need to do is just to invite me and say, we've actually put up this book on your behalf. Then I will invite you people to come. Then we do the launching. At least if we can have a target of 25 billion, it's very much. But you see, truth be told, that we are losing our values and we are not passing the right information to the younger generation.
And talking about values, that brings me to this headline that it's in the front page of the Vanguard. I've never discussed running for president in 2031 with anyone, and they say there's no smoke without a fire. Gambarayan, the executive at Binance, did allege that, Ribadu told him he wanted billions for his 2031 ambition. And we've also seen the former FCT minister and Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai talk about this ambition. The NSA, National Security Advisor, holds a very sensitive position in Nigeria's security architecture. He should be concentrating on national security issues, which we're still dealing with, Boko Haram, banditry, and all of that. How important is this statement that I've never discussed? Do you think we deserve a press conference from the NSA to come out and say, look, I have serious work to do. This is not my ambition, and I'm focused on my work? Because all these sorts of things will keep coming in.
I mean, just to add quickly, I know the NSA has come out to speak. He did put out a tweet and say that he's focused on his job, that that's not what he's coming to do, and so on. But I also get your point. I just wanted to add to that in line with what has been said. Do you think the APC is also, in addition to answering Benga's comments in your analysis, do you think the APC is also starting to crack internally, even though they had a meeting yesterday where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, led that meeting?
You see, in response to what you're saying, Benga, it's quite interesting if we started talking about 2031, when 2027 is not actualized, is to tell you how far our politicians move faster than we, the citizen. We are still battling with poverty, struggling with electricity, with roads, economic development, and we're already looking at that. What we're saying is that 2027 is already a done deal. Let's look at the next 4 years. And sincerely speaking, that's the way a politician thinks. But we should ask ourselves, the NSA coming to say this, we saw what played out with Emefiele. So there is a precedent. This is not a court where we are, but there's a precedent. He came up to tell us that he's facing his work, he's not doing anything. But we saw the mirage of vehicles, branded in preparation for the campaign.
While he was still in office.
So a lot of things happen in the country. And, but fine, he's actually being prosecuted for other things, but I don't think they look in that direction to say that you did this while you're in office. So you have the politicians, they understand themselves. And my focus that will continue to emphasize all the time is that we are rewriting the story of this country by taking away value that is expected to build and shape on us. And in no distance time, the lawlessness that we see pervades. I will ask, while we are growing up, you see the level at which people queue to enter vehicle. You see, this day, a law enforcement agency takes pride in sitting in front of a vehicle and asking the driver to follow one way. How do you manage that? Somebody that is out there to actually enforce the law is the one breaking the law, and is proud to do that. And a fellow person we see, if he looks at the rank, possibly give a salute and allow to go. When you should, on that particular level, punish that act. to say, no, that is not the way to go. So I want to speak to that, well, the day we actually pulled out moral instruction, I'm sure a lot of us had that while we were growing up in primary school. I said it to myself that we've lost that particular thing. Social studies, where they teach you some of the values, some of the core things you should know about the nation. What are we learning now? Misappropriation of funds without any
What
punishment.
about the home? These kids still come home. Are the parents too busy trying to make ends meet?
The parents, the kids comes home, but how many hours do they spend with the parents? A lot of these ideas are formed in the school. Discussion now goes on in the school among the children of, ask an average young boy or lady what you want to become. He's a politician. Those days while we were growing up here, I want to become a lawyer, I want to become a doctor, an accountant.
Now
No.
they want to be content creator, like Jarvis. Yeah.
And,
like I always say, content creator may not be bad.
Yes, but get
its
the
way.
foundations right.
Yeah, but then again, the major issue now is the precedent that we're setting.
which is not right.
stories
We
that
must correct that narration in the public domain. Let's read in the papers where we'll see people being punished for wrongdoing, and that will send signal. This is how we started this level of insecurity that got us to where we are today.
Okay.
And I believe Nigeria will be great if indeed we, the followers, choose to do what is right, and our leaders are sincere with themselves, not even with us, with themselves, to allow their conscience speaks to them.
That's
Thank you very much, Sesan.
Thank you so much, Sesan Okuade, for joining us here on the front pages, and thank you so much for your analysis.